Alright, that was hard to watch, with the Birds getting beat in just about every facet, leading to the secondary getting called out and then Slay responding. But what Sirianni decision did A.J. Brown disagree with? Thankfully, Jalen Hurts escaped an injury, but what does he regret? And with the Eagles signing Shaq Leonard, is that the answer to get back on track for Dallas? Oh yeah, and the running game is getting fixed, if you believe that. But first, let's run it. Well, I'm not gonna lie, there's no way to sugarcoat it. That was just bad, as the Eagles fell to 10-2 behind some brutal play, with the red zone offense resorting back to early season struggles, along with an inability to capitalize on early momentum.
In the first half, we preach trying to score in the red zone, and we've done a pretty good job of doing that in the past few games. We've made a big jump there, but today we didn't. We weren't able to. And that always helps scoring touchdowns. And we didn't do that enough.
All right, Jalen's not wrong. After all, we had been 100% in the scoring area the past 3 weeks. Now, it certainly didn't help anything when our defense practically ushered the Niners down the field, which honestly I was shocked to see, especially considering how dominant it looked like the defense might be early on. Heck, Desai's squad held Kyle Shanahan's offense to -6 yards in the first quarter. Just FYI, that's the lowest yardage total for any Shanahan offense in a quarter ever. But that was about all the interest the group had after that. I mean, I don't know, I really just struggled to put into words a performance like that. Yet it's obviously hard to watch a squad appear to not want to tackle most of the game. Okay, sure, CMC's a stud, but that didn't stop Seth Joyner from calling out the secondary's missed tackles of the other guys.
Our corners are as disinterested at tackling someone, as a young kid coming out to play football for the first time. They want no parts whatsoever. They want to push a guy out of bounds, or they want to try to trip him up, but they will not come up and put their body on somebody and tackle him, okay? The only guy in that secondary that will hit you is Reed Blankenship. Everybody else on that defense, if it's not the defensive front, if it's not the front five, they don't want to hit nobody. They don't want to tackle nobody. And tackling is an attitude. Deebo Samuels wanted to stay up today more than the Eagles' defense wanted his ass on the ground. Plain and simple.
Okay, personally, I'm perfectly fine with that take, although it got the attention of Slay, who ended the game with a team-high 5 tackles and responded on X saying that the former Birds linebacker was talking out the side of his neck, and then followed it up saying, "My problem with Buddy is that he said we were scared to tackle. Now, I do agree that we ain't tackle well as a team, but get that scared stuff out the door."
Let's see what your best move is.
I'm sorry, I don't know what it was, but to me, it did look like there was at least a little disinterest, which is why I don't have a problem with Seth's take. But what about you guys? And am I crazy to think it looked like the Niners wanted it more? Now, I'm not advocating for personal fouls, and they certainly took some cheap shots, but it didn't feel like we had that same level of physicality, especially in tackling. Either way, Fletcher Cox would at least somewhat agree with that uncharacteristic play.
I mean, if you watch the same game I watched, I think we missed a lot of tackles. A bunch of yards after the carry. We missed some stuff in the hole, there's things we normally don't do. So we get a chance to go play another good football team next week, a division game. We know them, they know them. We know them, they know us. They've won some games in a row. They've been hot. They've been playing at home, so we got to go on the road. If you want to be a good team on the road, you want to be a good team, win games on the road.
All right, I think we know this week's going to be a tough matchup. Since after all, it was more than a nail-biter when we played the Cowboys at the Link. So with Dallas winning the past 14 at home, the question is, can Sean Desai make the necessary adjustments to put an end to their streak? Look, believe you me that I'm not even close to confident in the defense after giving up 31 to Buffalo and now 42 to San Fran. And sure, Desai keeping Christian Ellis on the field didn't do us any favors, with the linebacker admitting to being overmatched, saying they were trying to isolate the linebackers and spread the defense out. It tests your run rules and your eyes, because as a backside backer, you have to not only play the run, but you have to recognize the pass fast. That's something I need to do better. I had 2 digs caught on me because I played the run so fast and I needed to slow down a little bit. Obviously, a lot of you guys know that's what I talked about before the game, since we've all seen spurts of Ellis being fast in the run game, but resulting in the Birds getting destroyed in the passing game at times, which is why I somewhat agree with Outside the Birds' take of Sean Desai really saw Christian Ellis being picked on and just continued to throw him out there for 75% of the defensive snaps. We've praised Desai all season long for his in-game adjustments, but he failed big time in that area yesterday.
Hello? Anybody home?
Okay, I get it. The argument to that is who in the world is a better option? Like, I don't think Ben Van Sumeren was the answer, although going dime and asking Sidney Brown to do more like Anthony suggested wouldn't have been the worst option. Because again, it's not like it could have gotten any worse. Now I know it's easy to play armchair quarterback, especially after the fact. However, Nicholas Morrow was just as bad, if not worse. Okay, no, he was definitely worse. Like Jeff McClain shared, of the 49ers' 314 passing yards versus the Eagles, 213 came after the catch. Linebacker Nicholas Morrow alone accounted for 151 yards after the catch. Other Eagles could have helped to minimize the damage on those plays, of course, but Morrow overall allowed 6 catches for 175 yards on 8 targets, while fellow linebacker Christian Ellis allowed 2 catches for 33 yards on 3 targets. Of course, that's not the only blame to go around because Desai's defense was historically bad, allowing 6 straight possessions to go for touchdowns. And just for the record, that hasn't happened to a Philly defense since 1966 in a 56-7 loss to Dallas. Sorry, I don't like watching that either. But the piss-poor performance led a Bleeding Green Nation to quip, we might need Jonathan Gannon to come pinch hit in the NFC Championship game for Desai at this rate.
I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Look, I get it. It's hard to not be reactionary at times. But while this was undoubtedly Desai's worst game, are we ready to completely abandon ship on the narrative of the new DC being a massive upgrade of JG? Plus, I'll go back to my original question, how much of this is on the players too? Look, credit to San Francisco, I know that's hard to say, but they showed up ready to play. Also, not really a surprise that the rematch of the NFC Championship game had tempers flaring pregame. And then, after an unnecessary hit out of bounds by Winers linebacker Dre Greenlaw, things got a little crazy. When Philly's chief security officer Dom DeSandro tried to separate the players, and then Greenlaw ended up taking a swipe at the big Italian. Thankfully, Greenlaw ended up getting kicked out for the punch, but shockingly, Big Dom was also forced to leave after the scuffle. Of course, Shanahan thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever.
I just can't believe someone not involved in a football game can taunt our players like that and put their hands in our guy's face. And from what I was told, Dre did it back to him, and I was told that he kind of mashed him in the face a little bit, so he got ejected. But it was a very frustrating play. I got to watch it to have a true opinion on it, but I loved how we rallied after it.
Whatever. Obviously, things didn't go as planned afterward. Yet a word of caution for San Fran, good luck the next time we play because there's one thing you don't do, and that's mess with the Dom, who was waiting in the tunnel for the guys following the loss saying, don't worry, we'll get him next time.
Someday, and that day may never come, I'll call upon you to do a service for me.
Sorry, just trying to add some humor to laugh to keep from crying, which is kind of what Mailata did afterward when offering his thoughts on the Dom situation.
I mean, that was an offensive play caller. I mean, he got booted out the stadium. It's kind of rough. Dude, I'm sorry, man. You know, I saw Dom get booted off. That kind of pissed me off.
I mean, honestly, the sad part is that you could have told me we lost our offensive coordinator because it wasn't any better after that point. Really, just about the only win was watching Lane Johnson manhandle Nick Bosa. Okay, you're right. I'm being too negative. AJ did end up over 100 yards, and Smitty even got 96 yards on 9 catches and a TD. And yeah, there were some blatant penalties not being called, whether it was a hold on AJ, pass interference on Quez Watkins, or holding on Reed Blankenship trying to make a tackle. But come on, we're not stooping down to the Winers level after a loss. I mean, the biggest regret I have, and sure, it probably wouldn't have mattered, but nonetheless, was Sirianni deciding to not go for it on a 4th and 2 late in the third quarter down by 15. Now, I get it under normal circumstances, you may not want to go for it, but these weren't normal circumstances because our defense was getting carved up like turkeys. I don't know, maybe it was the fact that Jalen took a big hit, forcing him into the locker room, but the QB wasn't the biggest fan of Sirianni deciding to punt it.
I don't know if we, knew how far away we were from it, but in a game like that, you definitely want to. You want to be aggressive, and we have been aggressive in the past. But we always support whatever's call is made in that situation. We just got to execute. I don't even think we should have been in that situation, to be honest. So, we learn from it and grow from it.
Again, would it have mattered? Who knows? Yet at least the silver lining is that Jalen was checked for a concussion and ended up being okay. However, by the time Hurts came back onto the sideline, the Eagles were down by 22 well into the fourth quarter, which is why I'm with AJ, who would have rather seen QB1 stay out.
For me, honestly, I didn't kind of want him to come back in. He took a big no. I didn't want him to come back in. He took a big shot. And the game's pretty much over, and I didn't want to risk him getting banged up a little more or whatever the case may be. But that just kind of just show you the player, he don't want to leave his teammates out. But shoot, we understood. That's me. That's me talking. I didn't know what was going on, but I just know he took a big shot. The game was pretty much kind of over at that moment. And I was kind of just looking out for him. But I really can't control that.
Maybe that's a complete lack of faith on my part because, yeah, Jalen's shown the ability to lead the team back from big deficits. Of course, there was also this argument on X that started with people saying Jalen was just stat padding to keep up in the MVP race, after definitely losing his commanding lead in that race based on the odds. But we know Jalen, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
I'm about showing anybody anything. It's more so the game's not over. So, just trying to keep fighting.
Okay, I love the drive and focus, but what do y'all think about some of the coaches' decision-making? Fortunately, it looks like we didn't suffer any bad injuries, although DeAndre Swift just about got murdered, but I didn't see any reports afterwards about lingering injuries, so maybe we dodged a bullet. And despite some arguments around Swift being ineffective or sticking to the running game, personally, I think it's the play calling not making the defense fearful or the use of RPOs and allowing the linemen to assert their dominance early in the game, something that Sirianni finally admitted is a problem.
As far as the run game, we know we have to establish the run game. We know we have to be better in the run game, and that's we just have to be have things that where you get on the positive side. There was a couple times where we got behind the sticks. That doesn't mean you still can't run it in that situation, but we got to be better as coaches. Devoting ourselves to the run game to take pressure off everybody, and so. So as we looked at it yesterday, there's no doubt that we got to do that. But part of the circumstance of the game led to the other things with DeAndre not playing as much as Kenny. But we know to get to where we want to go, and really all we think about is this next game. But we have to be better in the run game and get more runs called. To take some pressure off everybody. We got to do better there.
Okay, I know it's taken forever, but what's the first step? Admitting you have a problem. And at least he did that. Now, of course, I wouldn't mind seeing Rashaad Penny because clearly whatever we're doing isn't working. Yet at least the hope is we see changes soon. But whatever the case, there's really only one answer coming away from a loss like this.
It's not a matter of winning or losing. It's just about playing to the standard, and we didn't play to the standard. Typically, when you play to the standard, you win. And I don't think we played to the standard and won yet, We didn't play to the standard, and today we lost. So it's a great team we played, and we have to go back and reflect on it, learn from it, watch the film, and grow.
All right, well, hopefully we can learn from this and get better. And like James Bradbury said afterward, we need to learn from this and ensure teams aren't able to attack us and beat us the same way. Now, while I love the sentiment in that statement, doesn't it feel like we've been saying that nearly every week? I don't know, perhaps the good news ends up being Shaq Leonard, since Philly officially signed the former All-Pro because, he wanted to play for a contender. So the next time we run into Debo, it'll look like this. Yet let's be real, Leonard hasn't been lights out in coverage, so I'm not sure he solves all of our problems. With Jeff Kerr pointing out that opposing QBs are 17 of 21 for 158 yards with a 79.2 passer rating when targeting Shaq. However, like I said earlier, at least he can't do any worse than what we have. And it appears he's having an effect on Zach Ertz, with the tight end's last like on X being the news of Leonard signing with Philly. Add on top of that, the fact that Ravens head coach John Harbaugh said, "Nah, I think we'll roll with our guys" when talking about Ertz, and it's inevitable. Remember, we'll be first to go live as soon as Zach makes it official. At the same time though, like we all realize, sometimes a loss can be galvanizing. Plus, let's not forget we're 10-2 and control our own destiny, which is why I think it's crazy for those in the small minority saying they've given up on the squad already. Because like D reminded, the Eagles played the 9-3 Dolphins, 9-3 Cowboys, 8-4 Chiefs, 6-6 Bills, and 9-3 Niners in a 6-week span and went 4-1 while giving up 23 points or less in 3 of the 5 games. The Eagles are very good, and they lost to a team that's also very good. And let me go ahead and dispel the notion that somehow because we got obliterated in this game that we have no chance to beat San Fran in the playoffs. Since there are multiple examples of this, including the Birds' history, as we're all too well aware, from 2009 after crushing Arizona in the regular season, only to turn around and lose in the NFC Championship game. But how are you guys feeling about the loss, and where's your level of concern coming away from the game? Also, congrats to Bucolic for winning the ticket giveaway to any remaining regular season games, so shoot me an email with the details in the description, along with your info and a screenshot, and I'll get those tickets sent out. By the way, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do that so you can get in on the next giveaway. Also FYI, but we'll be spinning for the Kelly Green gear during our next live show on Wednesday. Alright, a lot of work to do ahead of Dallas, and really looking forward to being at that game. Would love to connect with any of you guys that are going or tailgating, so feel free to DM me on X. The good news is that we're still in control for now, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we can keep hold of the top spot for home field advantage. This has been the Philly Special.